Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and assalamu alaikum. Thank you for joining me on the 22nd video in the Journey to Islam series. Today is Wednesday, November 23rd, and I thought I would talk about Hajj and Zakat today, but Allah is the best of planners, so we're going to change the schedule just a little bit, and we'll talk about Hajj and Zakat on videos number 25 and 26, I believe. Today we're going to talk about assumptions. I thought at the end of this would be a good time to do a recap on all the assumptions I made and in adding to the aura of Miss Independent. Let's start with my grandmother. I was about 10 years old when I went to my grandmother's retirement party, and there were like 150, 200 people there. So everybody was saying all these kind words about her. So in my head, she was a manager. I didn't have any factual proof, but she must have been a manager because she had all these people at her retirement party. That made sense to me, right? Years later, I found out she was a cleaning lady. And that didn't make sense to me. I didn't understand how a woman with 10 children could have a big house as a cleaning lady. The math just didn't make sense. So let's look at the next assumption I made. I never met my grandfather. My grandfather had passed away before I was even born. So I assumed that my grandmother was independent because she didn't have a husband. I had no clue that she could still benefit from somebody who died. So if he passed away, how could he still be contributing to the household? I didn't understand that my grandfather was in the service and he got Social Security. So she benefited from two different forms of income from her deceased husband. That didn't make sense to a 10-year-old. Again, that was another assumption. Third assumption, I assumed that my friends were like me, outspoken leaders. And yes, they were like me, but they were married and I wasn't. So they were outspoken leaders with a support system from their marriage. I was all wrong. At that point, I think I saw what I wanted to see. I didn't see the truth. So Islam forced me to go down that rabbit hole to find out the truth. So even when I found out the truth, I had to be strong enough to say, oh, Nicole, you was all types of wrong. But that was okay because I had the type of mom who would go around and say, and the truth shall set you free. And so I was encouraged to practice honesty. So the first person I had to be honest with is myself and say, you're not an independent woman. I think I wrote in my first book, which was a catharsis for me. I didn't know that at the time, that I was a child of a strong woman who was a child of a strong woman. And when I meant strong, I thought I was saying independent. They weren't independent. They had support systems. So Islam forced me to find out the truth, admit it to myself, and change me. The whole point of finding out the truth was to change. So now that I've changed, or now that I can recognize that my assumptions were wrong, I'm going through the change. I want different relationships in my life in regards to men. I know how the system works. I know how the system is promoting women so that they make more money than men. I know how it works. And as they make more money, they have more power. And then the dynamic of our families is negatively affected. You know why I know? Because I used to be on that side. So now I want to support men because I need them to fix my cars, to fix my houses, And so I recognize that I want to work with them. And I no longer want to think that I can do everything a man can do. I still don't want to cook though, but I want to change my relationships, recognizing that I'm not independent, that we can work together, and that I want them to make me better, just like I know and I believe that my job is to make them better. So my approach has to be different. Thank you for joining me. And assalamu alaikum. Good night.